Penn State against Michigan, Blake Corum, the running back, who I think is really the only non-quarterback that is in the quote-unquote club right now for the Heisman talk, at least when I make the graphic for the Field of 12 socials right now. Corum's the only non-quarterback that's on the list right now. Maybe that'll change.
Hey, real quick. Hey, why? Can we name this club real quick? Can we name it? I don't. We don't have to come up with a name right now. But there was this spot in Dallas back in my days, and it was called the Candle Room. And I'm gonna tell you what, it was so beautiful, Hack. It was, and you know what? Being the old third string quarterback, I knew the door, man. Baby. I was always behind them red velvets.
You had the secret knock. You might have even had the keypad number and shit.
Hey, Hack, knock my ass. I text him on the way in, baby. Your boy's coming. Your boy's coming, and I'm bringing heat with me. Open up the rope. Let's go. Yeah, the Candle Room. We're gonna let these boys in the Candle Room. Go ahead, my bad. We're gonna talk about these Michigan cats. Let them in the Candle Room.
You're good. Trust me. We'll get the Candle Room branding on the Heisman Club. That's good. All right, Penn State, Michigan. I was gonna say Penn State has a running back that I would hope our viewers know about, a tandem of freshman running backs that Hack can tell us more about. But Nick Singleton is a monster. I just want to throw that out and make that very clear. He's a guy that you're going to hear a lot from over the next few years in college football. But if you're looking for someone who can go toe-to-toe with Blake Corum, Penn State has that guy in the backfield. Now, there are questions with both of these teams. My notes say both these teams are unproven. I had to come on the Overreaction show earlier this week and basically say, is Michigan for real? Or like not at all? Do we respect them? Not at all. So Hack, I mean, these are your boys. Penn State, the big spot here on the road. Do you view Penn State as an underdog in this game, or is this two legitimate top 10 teams that are going to go toe-to-toe, just even playing field?
No, I think it's going to be two programs that are going to go toe-to-toe. Hell, they did it last year with a banged up Sean Clifford. And they always seem to meet each other at this point in the year, and they're figuring things out. I think Penn State's more proven than Michigan is this year. I think even though the Auburn team is what the Auburn team is, you still go down to a real hostile environment, win that game. And the way they kicked off the season against Purdue Thursday night, started it all off. I thought that's a tough place to go and get a win, and they were able to do that as well. So, they played in some element games last week against Northwestern, or 2 weeks ago against Northwestern. So I think this Penn State team's in position. They're poised. You kind of highlighted the running backs. So I'll piggyback off that. I think Nick Singleton's going to be the horse. And I I think Penn State fixed their run game. I'm not 1,000% sold on it being, the guys up front just mauling people, creating big, huge, running lanes for these guys on a consistent basis. I think they just got a little bit of nos in the back of that Honda Civic, and Nick Singleton in some explosion. Blake Corum, on the other hand, I think that this Michigan team's done it for now, a season and a half heading into this year. I think they've played really physical up front. He's been a great back for him. So I think that's going to be a big talking point. But yeah, man, I think it's two heavyweights going at it in the Big Ten East, and I expect a damn good football game.
Okay, you talked about the run game. Another big matchup here would be quarterback spot. A guy that we've talked about a ton on here in Sean Clifford, and then a relatively new face to this conversation in J.J. McCarthy, who has, I think, passed all of his tests thus far. You could maybe say he hasn't lived up to whatever the wild expectations are of a kid this talented who takes over for the guy who led the team to the playoff last year, but he's done what he's needed to do to win them games. Even when it's been dicey, he's made the right plays. He hasn't really turned it over. He threw his first interception last week and was flawless after that. Clint, I want to go to you on this. Do you view a difference at the quarterback spot as a potential factor in this game between Hack? I've heard you say this word for word. Sean Clifford's a guy who can manage the game for you and feel great about going out to win a football game. Is J.J. McCarthy potentially a guy who can do more than that, who could go out and win this game with a big play if needed? What do you think, Clint?
Well, I mean, we don't know enough about J.J. McCarthy to know what the hell we're talking about, if we're being completely honest. But I think that's what I'm looking at from the quarterback perspective, is the game manager versus the young potential superstar with the high ceiling, right? I mean, it's you got the veteran that's seen it all. The first half of your question, or when you first started that question, you said, something about the quarterbacks. I don't remember how you phrased it, but something about the quarterbacks being the difference. I think Sean Clifford and his veteran game manager approach, I think that's the difference in this ball game. I'll let the cat out of the bag. I'm picking Penn State, and I'm picking them because of Sean Clifford. I think J.J. McCarthy is playing with house money. And here's what I mean by house money. You go to the casino, and when you walk in, sometimes they give you that little card, and you got $50 or $100 worth of slots on there if you're a new member. Like, that's what J.J. McCarthy's got. He's still in the casino gambling on that little bit of money that the casino gave him. He can bomb this game, and they're going to ride with him, and he's going to have a career at Michigan. It's no big deal. This is Sean Clifford's storybook ending. And to beat Michigan with that number, that big gold in, or I guess yellow, isn't it? Is it maize and yellow? It's yellow, isn't it? Not gold. What is it? Which one is it?
What are you talking? Just the logo?
The color. What's the maize and
blue? Maize and blue.
Maize and blue. So maize. So it is maize. There you go. I thought maize was the blue color, but nonetheless, that big ass maize M, if you want to call it, you learn something every day. With that little bitty number 5 next to it right now, Sean Clifford, if he can write his last chapter and it starts with beating Michigan at number 5, I think it'd be beautiful, man. So I think Clifford's a difference in this game. You go in there and you run for, what was it, 250 against Auburn, and I know Auburn's not a powerhouse this year, but when you go in there and from really a one-dimensional perspective, you put 250 on Auburn, you didn't do that shit by accident.
Yeah,
that's real.
Like Auburn doesn't have talent either. I mean, they got guys.
No,
like that's the point.
No.
Like they got guys that are walking around in Michigan's locker room too, like frames. It ain't like it's like this big Division II to Division III. You ain't playing fucking Wisconsin Whitewater. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And heck, here's the deal though, right? You know this, man, is like if you're, and not that they have to be one dimensional. I'm not in any way minimizing Sean Clifford. I'm just saying in that ball game, it was, we're gonna run this sumbitch straight down Main Street until you do something about it. And and they did it at will, and they did it to the tune of 41 points, and they did it to the tune of, I can't do my math quick enough. What is that? 24-point victory? Was it 41-17 or something like that?
Yeah,
but
I mean, they smoked them.
I mean, it's just, you don't do that by accident. So I think they're going to be able to run the ball, but this thing's going to come down to, can Sean Clifford make a couple of them? He's one of them dudes that just, he got grass stains from his damn the collar of his neck all the way to the tip of his toes, man. I mean, he plays hard. Now, can he make 2 or 3 of those kind of plays that'll win this ball game?
And the other thing I will throw in there too is Penn State's defensive backfield is a very veteran group that's really, really freaking good. And this is going to be the first test for JJ from that side. And it ain't just the corners. Both the safeties are veteran, good players, played a lot of football. Jair Brown and Keaton Ellis. That's going to be, to me, for Penn State, the X factor. I'm not even worried about Sean. I think Sean's going to come out. He's going to make 3 or 4 plays that are going to be big time plays. He's got Parker Washington. He's got Mitchell Tinsley, the kid coming in, who I still think has yet to erupt for them on the offensive side of the ball and become a big factor. Look for it this week. I think they're going to be able to figure out a way to creatively run the football. To me, it's about, can the Penn State defense confuse JJ a couple times, get a short field, capitalize on it offensively? And I think they're going to be able to do that.
Let me ask you that, Hack. I want you to dig a little more right there. On JJ, is this a game where you bend, don't break, and you make him go 13 plays and test the young dude to make a mistake? Or is this we're going to be multiple and we're going to pressure your ass and force you into some mistakes? How do you think how do you think Penn State approaches it?
I think Manny Diaz is going to do a little bit of both, in my opinion. I think if he gets an opportunistic situation where JJ buries himself into a 3rd and 12 or a 3rd and 14 early, he's going to come after his ass. He's going to come after him and he's going to try and burn him, because I think he trusts those guys on the back end to hold up. Right. Yeah. But I think where if Michigan's running the football and they're doing it, which I think Michigan's going to be able to do at least early in this game, they're going to be able to stay on schedule. If they're going to stay on schedule, it's got to be a bend, don't break. Get those guys involved, and someone's got to make a play some way, shape, or form, right? And I think that's where you're going to start testing JJ's patience is, can this kid just take what they're giving him consistently? I don't know that, right? And to your point, like we don't know a damn thing, but this is his first test. And to your point, I think he's playing with house money. So at the end of the day, it is what it is. But that's why I'm with you. I'm riding with Penn State, more veteran group, been through it, been through the fires, tested the whole nine. And this is where I think the decision that Jim Harbaugh made to go with J.J. McCarthy now was unprecedented. And you're going to learn a lot about whether or not Jim Harbaugh knew something that we all did.
Yeah. Hey, heck, there's a bunch of good ass quarterbacks, bunch of 4 and 5 stars out there that were money when they had that nice little run game, when you were playing a lesser opponent, when the expectations weren't real high. And then all of a sudden you get in a big game like this and you just simply can't be patient and go 13 plays. You just simply can't be patient. And a lot of young quarterbacks are broken in that exact situation. And so JJ could have been great up to this point. I'm sure he is. I'm sure the talent's just oozing out of him. But when it's all said and done, boy, you get in that pressure in a tough situation in a game that everybody expects you to win. Ooh, look out.
Yep.
Yeah, we're going to find out, really, essentially, if Harbaugh's bet, if his wager on J.J. McCarthy was worth it. And not to be too result-oriented, but that's pretty explicit, something we're going to find out after this game. The only thing I would just add to this is that I'm a little surprised you guys are that I don't want to say against JJ, but just like uneasy about him, because to me, through his 3 starts now, I think it's 3 starts, 3 or 4, like he essentially has been the game manager, and he's been a pretty flawless one. Like, if anything, the complaint is he hasn't been taking those risks. He hasn't made the big play, right?
He had to, the what?
He hasn't had to, and Michigan hasn't pushed him to, right? Michigan's just kind of cruised. They've been riding Blake Corum. Like they haven't put him in situations against lesser opponents where he had to make the decision of whether I'm going to check this ball down or I'm going to take the shot. And he just hasn't been. He's had training wheels on this entire time, right? He's going to have to take them bitches off this week. And he's going to have to make 5 or 6 plays when he hasn't been asked to make them. 3rd and 9. You got to drop back, get to 3, because they're going to be really good. You got to get to 3. Have you done that yet? I don't know. I don't think so. I haven't watched enough of it, but I guarantee you he hasn't done it consistently. So that's where I think he's gonna have to make some strides.
Yeah, the only thing is I would say they were on the ropes. That's part of why we're saying we don't trust Michigan at this point, right? Is because they were in a tie game in the second half last week.
Once.
To Maryland too, heck. It's twice in 3 weeks.
I don't know,
I'm not saying
and Maryland's an explosive offense too, bro. Like, you can't even sit there and say Maryland's a bad football team. Maryland's got an explosive ass offense with a veteran quarterback.
I'm not saying they're a bad football team. I'm saying that was a 1-score game, and J.J. McCarthy was at quarterback, and he did.
What Blake Corum do both those games?
Blake Corum can still do that this game, though. Like, I get Penn State's different, but
yeah. Hey, Wad. So here, here's what's up. To me, it's like. Because you're right. I mean, again, battle-tested, situational football, but like to me, there's a handful of teams in America, Penn State and Michigan being 2 of them, that they got dudes that when you're matched up with on one-on-one, when Penn State and Michigan play, as a quarterback, I'm not coming up there and going, my best receiver's fixing to create 5 yards of separation, and I'm gonna bang this glance route in there. You know what I mean? He's pressed. He's going to run by this bitch, and he's going to be 5 yards beyond. He's going 5 yards of separation. All I got to do is not throw the ball out of bounds, right? And that's, to me, that's the difference. Like, as a quarterback, the mindset, like when he's playing, man, no disrespect to Maryland and no disrespect to any of the middle of the pack ACC schools or middle of the pack Big Ten schools. I mean, I know as a quarterback, like, you ain't got dudes. You ain't got dudes that can run with this guy or that guy. You don't have a D-line that can handle my offensive line, that can even give me any kind of problems in pass protection or run game. This game, you ain't got that shit. In this game right here, you got to execute better. You got to be on time. You got to be more accurate. When the play's there to be made, you might get 2 plays against Michigan or against Penn State if you're J.J. McCarthy, where you might get 5 or 6 against a lesser opponent. And so that's my deal with JJ. Young dude. I mean, he's got to raise his game to a whole nother level and be so much more precise in his decision making and his accuracy in his throws when you're playing this caliber opponent. That's the difference to me.
It's a maturity game.
there's no way I'm going to swing that because we haven't seen him do it against a team the caliber of Penn State. I would just say, like, if we're just picking Penn State or Clifford here because we think he can be a better, safer game manager, that's where I would say, like, well, JJ's been a pretty damn good game manager through 3 games.
But I don't think either of us cited just Clifford being the X factor here.
No, that's what I took from that.
I mentioned the defensive backfield at Penn State. I mentioned a lot of things about Penn State right now. I mentioned the wide receivers at Penn State. Hey,
they got a damn good team, Hack. You're not wrong.